Hello and welcome to Racers Now. In this video, we are previewing the newest Group 1 in the UK racing calendar, the City of York Stakes, which is taking place on the Saturday of the York Ebor Festival. That's Saturday, the 23rd of August. Really interesting race, given that it's got that upgrade from a Group 2 last year to a Group 1 this year. So this is a race that is going to look vastly different to previous years. No longer is it going to be a 7 furlong specialist race for the likes of Audience, Kinross, the out-and-out 7 furlong horses. This is going to become a race where you get possibly horses from 6 furlongs stepping up, possibly horses from 8 furlongs stepping down to try their luck and grab some Group 1 trophies over 7 furlongs. Really interesting market, this one. And it has had a shake-up this week with the likes of Rosallion, who still tops the market in most places at 7-2. He is going to be pointed towards the Jacques Lemarrois over the mile at Deauville. He was second in the Sussex Stakes last week at Goodwood. He was third or fourth in the Lockinge. He was second again in the Queen Anne. He might well be the best miler in the UK that we've got at the moment, but he's not quite kicked on this year as he did as a 3-year-old last year. So anyway, Rosallion does look unlikely to run. We're going to see quite a few of those that raced in the Lennox Stakes, which is a 7 furlong Group 2 at Goodwood. A lot of them are going to be priced up here and are turning up here. But in truth, that Goodwood race, the Lennox Stakes, was a complete mess. Kinross was withdrawn at the start after being kicked by Audience. So we had a 25p rule 4 after Kinross came out. 11-2 shot Noble Champion pulled up during the race. He hampered half the field in doing so. I mean, fair enough, if he was injured, the jockey needed to pull up. But he hampered off half the field in doing so. The front three went clear. Audience was one of them. Eventual winner, Silent Witness, who's not entered in this race, was another one of them. He was a 25-1 shock winner. Witness stand, should I say. Eventually winning the contest, but they were strung out like washing. Not only back to front were they strung out, they were strung out side to side. Witness stand coming down the middle, Lake Forest far side, Audience near side. The race was a complete mess. I've had my eye on one in this race for a little while, even before that Lennox. And after the Lennox, his price has remained unchanged. And I actually fancy him a bit more as a result of the Lennox, because Lake Forest, I thought he ran a blinder in the stiff mile at Ascot over the Queen Anne straight mile. Clearly doesn't stay a mile. I thought he ran really well there to be fourth. I think SD tipped him up there on the day. Subsequently, Lake Forest ran a stinker in a York Group 3 called the Criterion Stakes over the same course and distance as the City of York. He ran a stinker that day. Surely too bad to be true. Surely something amiss, I thought. So it was good to see, from my perspective, having already backed Lake Forest for the City of York, it was good to see him run something like back to form in that Lennox. Yes, it was a mess, but Lake Forest was the only horse to make any progress from the back of the field and really close on those three that went clear. Quinault, Audience, and Witness Stand were the three. Lake Forest was the only one to really close that gap late on. So I was happy to see that. I didn't back him on the day at Goodwood, but I was happy to see that with looking forward to this race. So yeah, I'm going to be putting up Lake Forest for this race, and I do like him. He's 16-1 at the moment. His price was pretty much unchanged after that Lennox. And I thought he ran pretty well there. I thought he ran really well at Ascot, poorly at York, but he's clearly recovered from that with that run at the Goodwood Festival. But yeah, as I said earlier, I can't stress how different this race is going to be this year than last year. I mean, still in the market. We mentioned Rosallion. He's looking elsewhere now. It's not impossible that he could run in the Jacques Lemarrois and the City of York Stakes, but very unlikely. Same comments could apply for Lazat, who won a Group 1 Jubilee Stakes at Ascot over 6 furlongs, French trained. He's running in the Maurice de Guise this weekend over 6.5 furlongs. That's the 10th of August. Not impossible that Lazat might turn up at York on the 23rd of August, but you would have to say unlikely, to be fair. So yeah, it's interesting. We've got Notable Speech in there as well, who had that try in the July Cup that was basically a disaster. Last year's 2,000 guineas winner. He's entered in the City of York. I mean, if if he's going to drop down in trip, 6 furlong didn't work. Would 7 furlongs work? Some people like SD thought that Notable Speech ran with promise in the July Cup, just that the trip was wrong and possibly the track was wrong. It's a pretty quick 6 furlong race there at the July course, so it might have been a shock to the system for Notable Speech. So he's in there as well. Quinault deserves a mention, having won the official trial for this race, as I mentioned earlier. Lake Forest ran in that. That was called the Criterion Stakes. Witness Stand, Lennox winner, isn't even entered at this stage. Could be supplemented, but looks unlikely. Summer Mile winner, Never So Brave. SD has tipped this one up on our Monday night show. Would be bang interesting if coming here, and it looks like he might well be coming here. He's got all sorts of options, this Never So Brave. He was running over 6 furlongs as a juvenile. Not always, but he did run over 6 furlongs as a juvenile. Won a 7 furlong handicap easily at the Royal meeting. Then won the Summer Mile at Ascot in nice fashion. And this is back down to 7. So he's got options. But if this is the option he takes, Never So Brave in there at 6-1, does look like he could potentially be the one to beat when the likes of Rosalien do officially come out this race. So he is interesting. But I do think Lake Forest represents the best value in here at the moment. You can get that 16-1 each way, 3 places. That's an official bet for me. Yeah, I just do fancy him. He's a likely runner. He's a 7 furlong specialist. And there's going to be plenty of horses in here that are not 7 furlong specialists. And he is edging towards getting back to his best form. There's no question marks over the trip, unlike most others. Any ground, kind of, as long as it's not extreme, comes as one to him. So yeah, I am backing him. But if I'm backing Lake Forest, I think you've got to be interested in Parabus for the Ed Bethel yard. He's got to be of interest as well because he ran in that Criterion Stakes where Lake Forest stunk. But this Parabus was much better, ran pretty well. He absolutely wazzed up at Thirsk, first time up this season, somewhat under the radar there for Ed Bethel. He's been acquired by Wafnam Racing since then. And clearly his season is geared around the second half of the season, the autumn campaign. Ed Bethel was quoted even before that Thirsk race, where he'd only won a lowly handicap before then. At the start of the year, he was quoted in a couple of stable tours saying that he thought Parabus was a Prix de la Forêt horse, which was a big statement to be making for a horse that had yet to really win anything outside of a handicap. But he might have well been proven right pretty quickly because he was really, really bang impressive at Thirsk. As I say, Wathnan purchased him there, and he'd been off 77 days before running in that Criterion at York. I thought it was a promising run. You'd have probably hoped for better, or Wafnan, having purchased him for God knows how much money, would have probably hoped for better. But he isn't. I thought he was, like I say, his season is geared towards the back end, the Foray being his main target. He surely would strip fitter and better for the City of York if turning up here. But it does come with a bit of a caveat on Parabus because he is entered in the Hungerford Stakes, which is 7 days before the City of York at the Newbury. So the Hungerford Group 2, do we need a Group 2 7 furlong contest, 7 furlongs before a Group 1? Probably not. I think in the future they might look at moving that one because it just doesn't make much sense to have it there in the calendar. But they'll be living and learning this year as it's the first time that the Group 1 upgrade at York. So yes, Parabus is entered in that Hungerford, so that is something to bear in mind. That's why it's a small stake from me. It's 0.25 points each way, which is pretty low points total. But I do think he's of interest. If I'm interested in Lake Forest, I need to be interested in Parabus at 33-1. So I'm putting up 2 bets there in the City of York Stakes. One with more confidence than other. I do like Lake Forest, and I've also got to have a bit of I don't like using the cliche saver, but I've also got to have a bit of a look at their Parabus, given that he's got form in front of Lake Forest, but there is that question mark if he's going to run, and he has the possible to run in the Hungerford. So we're going to find out about that in the coming days when entries become a bit clearer. So that is the City of York looked at. We've also looked at the Juddmonte International and the Numthorpe here on Races Now. So there is plenty to look forward to for the 4-day York Ebor Festival in the 3rd week in August. There's 4 Group 1s now at that meeting, so we'll have them all covered here on Races Now. SD will be here as usual on Thursday. Looking forward to all the big Saturday races. His daily tips are out there as well, showing a good profit for July, and he's already showing a profit in early August as well. And make sure you're checking out the brand new website, oddsnow.com. Thank you.